Hey guys, it's LPS Believe TV here. Today I present my very first storytime video. This storytime does not have to do with me, but it has to do with my direct cousins. Just wanted to clarify, the title is not a clickbait. Whatever I decided to title this video is completely true. Now, as most YouTubers do when they are telling story times, none of the names in my story are going to be the real names of my cousins or of the crazy neighbors. This is just for personal safety reasons, I guess you could say. And so yeah, let's go ahead and get started with the stories. I'm actually going to be telling multiple small stories and then the part where my cousins actually get called on the cops. Alright, so our story starts out in a normal, kind of suburban, not in the city, not in the country neighborhood where my cousins live. And my cousins are two sisters. There is McKenna, who is 16, and Casey, who is 15. Now, when my cousins were telling me these stories, it was a few months ago, so I might be a little rusty on some of the details, but I'm going to tell it as flat out as I can and try to remember everything I can. So my cousins lived right next door to the crazy neighbors, which we'll call the Montgomerys. The Montgomerys were not pleasant at all. They have 4 daughters and a mom and a dad in the family. And these people were absolutely horrid. Their neighborhood is very large. People all the way on a whole nother street would have stories with them. Like, they were those kind of people, honestly. So the first story is of the youngest daughter, which we'll name Lydia. When Lydia was around 8 years old, she was outside playing with the across the street neighbor's dog, which was, I believe, a German Shepherd. She was just playing around, throwing the tennis ball, and the dog kept on bringing it back to her so she could throw it again, as a normal human and dog do when they throw tennis balls. So the dog scampers back after about the 5th throw, I guess you could say, and the dog would not give the tennis ball to Lydia. It was just in a really playful mood, and it just wouldn't give her the ball, like a normal dog. So Lydia goes to stick her hand in the dog's mouth and tries to, like, I don't know, get it out that way. So with the little girl's hand in its mouth, the dog really didn't know what to do, so it just bit down on her hand thinking it was the tennis ball, and Lydia absolutely screamed. So then Lydia proceeds to run home to her parents, screaming that the neighbor's dog had bit her and that it had attacked her. The parents, as they had a very biased opinion on the story, then stormed over to the neighbor's house, called the cops. They call the cops constantly, by the way, guys. They called the cops came, and they came and assessed the situation, and the little girl told them the story, and to this day, the poor German Shepherd, whenever it goes outside, has to wear a muzzle on its mouth. All because the little girl had her parents call the cops. But, you know, I mean, I guess if I was a little girl in her situation, I'd probably get really angry too, but like the parents, like, you don't call the cops, you like fix the situation. I don't know, that was just really weird to me. The next story is it's kind of more like a petty thing. It's not as big and eventful. Well, it sort of is. So my cousins had this really tall tree in their backyard, and it was really magnificent and really pretty, but it was getting towards the time where it was really old, so I mean, it died, so it fell over into the Montgomerys' yard. Now, as you know, the Montgomerys freak out about everything. So, do you know what they did? Do you know what they did? They sued my cousins. Yep, that's right. They sued my cousins for a dead tree that fell into their yard. And it wasn't even the whole thing, like, it was like a part of it. I don't remember the amount that they sued them for, but it was a lot of money. Story number 3 is of another kind of situation like that. So one day, McKenna, when she was 7 years old, she's now like 16 or 17, I think, she was just playing around, and she accidentally, her and her friend were playing around, just being kids, and all of a sudden they both like kind of stepped in the flower patch of the Montgomerys' house and kind of broke some of the flowers. So do you know what the Montgomerys did this time? Montgomerys proceeded to demand $75 from my cousins, which they found completely just horrible and rude, but they paid it because they didn't want any further trouble with them. The 4th story is of actually just the Montgomery family. One day the girls were heard screaming at each other. Two of the sisters, I don't know their names, but they were heard screaming at each other from the neighbors' houses, which is insane. And the cops showed up at their house, and it turns out that one of the sisters had called the cops on the other sister. Like, that's how mad they were at each other. One of them called the cops on the other. Why would you do that? The fifth and final story is, in my opinion, the craziest. So to set up for the fifth story, basically, you know how like when you're a little kid, and most of you guys probably still do this, you like hang out with this certain amount of people in your neighborhood or apartment complex or whatever, and you will like play games, play tag, hide and seek and all that. Yeah, so my cousins, McKenna and Casey, had that. They had like a little group that would hang out with, and I mean, they would exclude one of the Montgomery kids, I don't remember which one, and they would just exclude her because, well, they were just very rude. I mean, I guess they shouldn't have excluded her like that, but I mean, based on all the things they had done, like, they just really didn't think that, they just didn't want to hang out with her. So the little group of friends that my cousins had, they would just hang out, play, do all that jazz, right? These kids were tight. They'd hang out every weekend, anytime they could get together. Well, the little girl that felt excluded by that group told her mom that they were excluding her and not talking to her. So do you guys want to know what her mother assumed when her daughter told her those words? She called the cops and reported gang activity in the neighborhood. Gang activity by 8-year-olds. Guys, keep in mind, these kids were like riding their tricycles. They were playing tag. Like, this is not a gang. This is normal kids playing games. Like, not a gang. No, it was not a gang. So of course the cops come, and the lady points to the kids and like literally says that they are a gang. Like, get them out of here. Cops talk to the kids, which completely freaks the kids out. They're like, they have no idea what they did wrong, and the situation is just blown out of proportion. The little group of kids, their parents got together and they told the cops that they were just playing, that it was completely innocent, and the cops believed them because these cops were over the crazy Montgomery family. They're like, we're done with you. We're done. Okay, they didn't actually say they were done with them, but I'm sure they thought it in their heads. So anyway guys, I really hope you enjoyed this video. I did not make any of these stories up, I swear to goodness gracious they are true, unless my cousins lied to me, which my cousins are very truthful. I am sure they would make these things up. But it is simply up to you if you believe them or not, and so I just really hope you enjoyed it, and please give this video a thumbs up if you would like to see more story times in the future. I don't know if I'll have any as interesting as this one. I might come up with some though. We'll see. We'll see. So yeah, I hope you guys really enjoyed. Subscribe to become a believer today. Oh yeah. I hope you all have a very fantabulous day. Bye.